They say every choice has a consequence, don't they? Mine? Mine led to a monster wearing my husband's brother's face, a bed I was forced into, and the piercing sound of sirens tearing my whole world apart. My affair? That was a terrible mistake. My mistake. But what he did? That was pure, calculated evil. Before all this storm, I was Emily, married to Harrison. He was a good man, solid, you know. But our life, it had become this predictable, stifling cage. Those vibrant colors you feel in early love, they just faded to these muted tones of companionship. There was this unspoken thing between us, a feeling that something vital was missing. The silence in our home, God, it often felt louder than any argument we never had. Then there was Caleb, at work. He was like an unexpected flash of light, a dangerous, alluring spark. It started with shared smiles, conversations that lingered a bit too long, that illicit thrill of a secret understanding. It's a slippery slope, isn't it? And I let myself slide. It began as an emotional affair, a sort of lifeline, I guess, that intoxicating feeling of being truly seen. But boundaries? They blur when you're starving for connection, and so it became more. The guilt was always there, this constant, gnawing thing, yet the allure of that forbidden attention, it was a potent drug. I was playing with fire, and I actually believed I could control it. Harrison deserved none of the pain that was coming. My weakness, my incredibly selfish choices, they were about to become the weapon that would dismantle my entire world. Harrison's younger brother, James, he always had this unnerving intensity about him. He found the messages, the ones that proved my affair with Caleb. When he confronted me, it was private. His eyes weren't filled with shock, no. It was cold calculation. He didn't immediately threaten to tell Harrison. Oh no, instead, he offered to help. To make sure Harrison never found out, his price wasn't money. It was me. The first time he cornered me, Harrison was out. My blood just ran cold. He framed it as a one-time solution, his way to ensure his silence. The shame, it was like a physical weight, but the terror of Harrison discovering what I'd done, it was paralyzing. So I rationalized it. Just once, I told myself, and this nightmare would end. What a fool I was. My naivety then, it's astounding to look back on, because one time was never, ever going to be enough for him. It spiraled into this sickening routine. He was a master of psychological torment, preying on my fear. He knew Harrison's schedule, all my vulnerabilities. The blackmail wasn't always spoken aloud. It was in his knowing glances, the possessive way he'd touch me when Harrison wasn't looking, that cruel smirk that just screamed exposure if I dared to resist. Harrison would be heartbroken. Wouldn't he, Emily? He'd say. To know what you did with Caleb and now what we've been doing? My life just fractured. To Harrison, I had to keep up this facade of the loving wife, but to James, I was a terrified puppet, completely stripped of any dignity. The guilt from the affair with Caleb, it paled in comparison to the self-loathing James cultivated in me. I was his captive, bound tight by my secret. Every act of affection from Harrison felt like a brand on my skin. Every demand from James chipped away another piece of my soul. He was so skilled at it, that manipulation. He'd switch between these vile demands and moments of feigned kindness just to disorient me before the next violation. Caleb just faded into the background. James was the real demon here. He reveled in my fear, my shame, the sheer power he held over me. Sleep became a stranger. Food tasted like ash. The woman I saw in the mirror was gaunt, haunted. I can't tell you how many times I rehearsed confessing everything to Harrison, but the fear always choked the words back down. I was trapped in this silent, bitter hell, and James was always there, dangling the key just out of my reach. The breaking point. When it finally came, It wasn't some dramatic, pre-planned moment, it was just an ordinary Tuesday afternoon. Harrison had come home from work early, unexpectedly. James was already there, lounging around like he owned the place, his presence an increasingly unbearable weight on me. An argument started between the brothers, something trivial, about money, I think. But James, emboldened by weeks of having this unchecked power over me, he was more insolent than usual. Maybe he sensed I was at my limit, or maybe he just wanted to escalate his sadistic game. He turned his attention to me, a venomous smirk playing on his lips. "Emily knows all about generosity in tight spots, doesn't she?" he sneered. "Why don't you tell Harrison about our little understanding, Emily? About Caleb, and of course all the personal favors you've been so willingly providing me to ensure my discretion." Just like that, the world shattered. Harrison's face twisted from confusion to this dawning, sickening horror. His eyes, wide and desperate, searched mine for a denial that I couldn't give. I saw the exact instant James's embellished, poisonous words pierced him. He didn't shout. He turned, with this chilling slowness, towards his brother. An awful, icy calm settled over him. "What did you say?" James, fatally arrogant, repeated his vile claims, adding lurid, fabricated details, painting me not as his victim, but as his eager accomplice. And that's when the dam inside Harrison just shattered. A raw, guttural roar of unimaginable pain and fury erupted from him. He launched himself at James. I screamed, but it was this thin, useless sound. It was a maelstrom, bodies colliding, thuds, the splintering crash of furniture. Harrison, my gentle Harrison, was transformed into an unrecognizable force of pure, untamed rage. His hand closed around a heavy lamp, and then there was this sickening, definitive crack. James crumpled, lifeless, still. The sudden, shocking silence was deafening, pierced only by my ragged, hysterical sobs and Harrison's heavy, gasping breaths. Then, slicing through the horror, the rapidly approaching wail of sirens. The aftermath was a surreal nightmare. Flashing lights, stern-faced paramedics, police officers with their cold, impersonal questions. Harrison was cuffed, his eyes glazed, staring blankly past me as if I were a ghost. He didn't say a single word as they led him from our home, now a grim crime scene. James wasn't dead, but the injuries were severe, a fractured skull, internal bleeding. The doctors talked about permanent damage. Attempted manslaughter, aggravated assault, the charges just swirled around us. My husband was in jail. Our family didn't just fracture, it disintegrated. Harrison's parents, who had once loved me, now looked at me with this mixture of heartbroken pity and raw, unfiltered hatred. I was the cause. My affair had lit the fuse. I tried to explain about James, about the relentless blackmail, the coercion that had kept me silent for so long. But how do you even begin to convey being systematically broken when your initial sin is so stark, so clear? My words just sounded like hollow excuses, even to my own ears. James, from his hospital bed, skillfully wove his own narrative. He was the horrified discoverer of my depravity, attacked for his supposed righteousness. His simpler, self-serving lies were far more palatable to everyone. My own family, aghast, just urged me to disappear. But how do you start over when your life is nothing but smoldering ash, and you're the one who struck the first match? Harrison is serving his time. Years stolen from his life, a future irrevocably tainted, all because my weakness unleashed a monster. He refuses my visits. My letters come back unopened. His silence is this heavy cloak I wear every single day, a constant, deserved reminder of the devastation I caused. James? He's out of the hospital, physically scarred but otherwise free. He faces no legal repercussions for the torment he put me through. Blackmail is such an insidious crime, isn't it? So hard to prove when the accuser is already compromised. Sometimes, when our paths rarely cross, He looks at me with this look of cold, unrepentant triumph. The monster who won. My affair was a profound betrayal, a sin I'll carry for the rest of my days. But what James did, his calculated campaign of psychological terror, his vile exploitation of my vulnerability, that was an evil of a different, more corrosive kind. He didn't just want to control me, he relished breaking me, piece by agonizing piece. And he came terrifyingly close. There's no neat resolution here, no uplifting lesson to be learned, just the persistent, bitter taste of ash, the smoking ruins of a family, and the unending, tormenting echo of my own catastrophic choices. My life now, it's a barren landscape. This isn't a story of redemption. It's a stark chronicle of devastation. A warning, perhaps. Secrets curdle into poison, and betrayal always, always exacts its terrible price. Sometimes, that price is everything.